Good morning, mathematicians. I think I forgot the cable for my microphone on campus. So, yeah, the audio will be worse today. Um, yeah, I don't have it. I think today's video is going to be pretty short too. Really want to get to work. So, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't have it. Oh wow, yeah, that sounds bad. The audio sounds so bad compared to usual. Gross. Well, I wouldn't blame anyone for not listening today for that reason alone. Uh, yeah. Let's, I don't know. Let's go to archive. I haven't checked archive in a little bit. Good morning. Question to start me off. What do I think of Terrence Tao having his grant canceled? Yeah. Well, I think even more generally, UCLA has been gutted, um, as he said in his post. Let's see, where's the Terry Tao's Mastodon post? Yeah. So, um, yeah, probably this is bad. Uh, probably this is bad. I mean, this is all. Everything you need to know is right there. Um, yeah. Um, and this. Those things are both pretty concerning. Um, yeah, I don't know. Could you make an argument? Could one make an argument that maybe and this is very self defeating here, but is there an argument to be made that there are maybe things that benefit the world more than pure mathematics research? Hi, Julie. Um, yeah, there's an argument to be made for that, I think. And mathematicians like to be like, oh well, you never know when like something will be applied. I don't really buy that argument though because well, that's true. We are um, uh, you know, scientists, right? We're capable of using logic to try and deduce what might be the most useful avenue, right? Like if there's two drugs that you're trying to develop, and the trials for one of them have been very promising while the other hasn't. Well, of course you're going to develop the one with the more promising trials, even though maybe somehow it would have worked out that the other drug would have been more effective. You can only make decisions based on the information that you have. So I don't buy that argument, and so I do think it's totally believable and reasonable to say, well, maybe there are other places that we can and should divert our funds towards in order to benefit a nation or the entire planet. The question is that exactly what's being done here? Uh, um, has someone carefully combed through this and decided that here's a comment worth highlighting. carefully come through this and made this decision based on that there's, oh, we could take some of this money and improve quality of life for Americans by reallocating some of these funds. I don't know. I don't know what their official explanation is, but I don't think so. Let's see. Why didn't this open? Yeah. I think he says what their right. So their official thing was failing to promote a research environment free of anti-Semitism and bias. So it seems that the way that they came to this decision, that this decision is more punitive in nature for what they see as um, uh, uh, some sort of failing on UCLA. So, but even if, okay, so imagine we knew nothing else about the situation and what's going on at UCLA and what UCLA has and hasn't. Imagine we just take on faith that this is an accurate statement, that UCLA has failed to promote a research environment free of anti-Semitism and bias. Is removing funding to the mathematics department, or really to everything there, an effective strategy, a good long-term strategy in order to combat that? Well, I guess perhaps there's an argument, a neoliberal argument. Wait, is neoliberal even the right term here? I suppose one could. It's the same philosophy behind tariffs and sanctions and boycotting, right? But of course, one has to then consider. And again, I'm just saying for the purposes of. I'm not even saying that I agree with this statement, but I'm saying let's even just as a first pass take that on faith to be true, and from there let's evaluate things, and then we can go back and even and question this premise. Yeah, the thing is, this absolute total gutting of UCLA in this manner, you could make an argument that, oh yeah, this is what people typically do, right? We try to not fund and promote things that are causing harm. But what are the consequences? The thing is that this approach is not just harming the university, UCLA, right? This is harming the research community of mathematics in the United States, right? And even if you wanted, let's say you were let's say you were happy about this and you say, yes, maybe, NSF, let's cut NSF funding and increase defense spending. Certainly there's threat of conflicts around the world. And I don't know, however you or I might feel about, say, hello, Nicole, imperialism and whatnot. Again, just for the sake of argument, I'm trying to sort of steelman one particular. I'm trying to steelman sort of the opposition here and accepting a whole bunch of statements on faith that, again, we can go back and nitpick all of those statements, but so trying to steelman one of these perspectives, you could say, oh yes, well, definitely we need military spending. Well, one of the things is that NSF is not disconnected to military and military spending. Especially, there's a lot of applied mathematics that is connected to that. So even if you believed that this statement is true, and that you wanted to sort of enact some sort of, have some punitive reaction to UCLA about this. And you also believed that this was a good reallocation of funds. Then I would argue that there's still, there's something to be considered here about if those are your motives and your beliefs, that you still might be self sabotaging because of the run-on effect, of the damaging effect that this has with the research community, as Terry Tao says. Who's basically not going to be able to fund a bunch of his Ph.D. students, as are quite a few people at UCLA in pure and applied mathematics, and in fact across the sciences. And so this could have a long-term effect on the intellectual community of mathematicians and scientists. And again, even if you were sort of, you wanted this pro-military reallocation of funds, I think it's worth considering the fact that that could work against your own long-term goals. Say if you wanted America to have a strong defense. So, okay, that's not even my take necessarily. Well, I guess it sort of is, but so I think even if we were to steelman the argument that this is a good move on the American government's part, well, I don't know. There's a lot. I definitely think there's a lot to consider, and that's even if we steelman that, and we don't, and then there's the question of, well, should we accept that premise, and should we accept this premise, and then even if we accept this premise, is this the right way to change UCLA and put it on a different path, even if you accepted this sentence as true? Yeah. So I guess all of that is a long-winded way to say well what I already said. Yeah, probably this isn't good. Sorry, I see a bunch of comments. What topic do I work on? I work in the local Langlands program. That is my research area. So I do kind of want to pop over here. Let's see what's happening in Langlands. By the way, it's been some time since Nicole was here. What's up? Well, I guess you already know some of the things we've been talking about. Oh, what? This is, what is this paper all about? This seems interesting. What a crazy name this is. I mean, this is a perfectly reasonable thing. Endoscopy for metaplectic affine Hecke categories. That sounds so cool. And also kind of sounds like, don't get me wrong, this is definitely not crank work, but it definitely sounds like some crazy crank terminology. It's definitely not, but yeah. Yeah. Well, Nicole, I've just been working on my thesis, trying to get stuff done. Sad math drama is up. That's true, Boris. But there's also fun math drama. I mean, I don't know. Is the beef between Lustig and Kashawara? Maybe that's sad, but it's entertaining. Nowhere near as entertaining as the algebraic topology beef that I commented on in that video. Hello, Emil. Hello, Emil. Yeah, what's going on in this paper? This seems interesting. We classified the component groups associated to non-supercuspidal tempered L parameters for a p-adic field of characteristic 0 by discrete case-by-case computations. Following earlier work. I mean, oh, you just graduated. Congratulations, Nicole. Congratulations. That's awesome. That's exciting. Hello, Fire Emblem. You love my content. Awesome. Great. Uh, Glad to hear it. You want to self-study mathematics like this. Any advice? Hmm. Um, I don't know. I don't know what general advice. I don't know what general advice to give you here. I don't know what general advice to give you here. Yeah, yeah. I mean, like specific references. I can give you specific references or something. Um, like, like you mean Langlands type stuff is what you want to work on. Um, uh, yeah, it's definitely a tricky field to get into, but I don't know. I guess my advice is the same for all mathematics. Do Write up as much as you can on your own. Think on your own a lot, but then I don't know. Also connect to community. Uh, this is this The premise of the paper seems very strange to me, though, and perhaps I am totally misunderstanding. But so what I've talked about geometrically. Um, it was a Here's my most recent thing. So, um, but I talked about uh, uh, so in a whole bunch of videos recently, I talked about Langlands parameters. Um, oh no, this makes sense. Okay, so they're talking about component groups, um, and actually, the component groups that they're talking about are slightly different. Okay, so I always get confused about this. So I have my geometric component groups. Um, that I work with from like Vogan's geometric perspective. And actually, I think these component groups, right, these like cover these ones. Okay, actually, the premise of this paper makes sense to me now because in the geometric classification, right, the general definition of a component group is a little more complicated. Uh, in the geometric perspective that I have, the geometric component groups that I work with, um, these are very, uh, these are very, um, it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple to work out, especially in the non cuspidal case. It's still weird to me though. Maybe let's dive into this paper a bit more, but like yeah, it's still weird to me because there's a pretty direct relation between these component groups and the geometric ones, and the geometric ones are very easy to classify, especially if we're just talking about SL3, um, where now we'd be looking at PGL3C, um, acting on these varieties, and so yeah, I mean, basically the Langlands parameter, like we just want to look at these Langlands parameters where the sum. Do we need the sum to be zero actually? Um, I don't think we do. No, we don't. They're just ones like this. Um, but I guess. Uh, well, no, because it does need to get killed by the center. But it could just sit in a non-trivial equivalence class. Anyways, the point is, I mean, I still think I need to think about this a little bit more, but I think once we go down to the level of Lie algebra, there's really just a small finite number of cases to work out here. Sorry, we got a lot of questions in chat here. What would I say is the biggest area in pure math research right now? I have no idea. I probably wouldn't say there is a biggest area. I mean, okay, whatever, Langlands, something Langlands, something infinity categories. Probably, I mean, there's aspects of pure mathematics related to machine learning. I don't know. Can you just search archive for like what's being published in the most? Probably. Yeah, I have a very biased opinion though. So I don't know. There's probably tons of stuff popping off in differential equations or something. Well, this is the paper right now. I gotta dig into it and look into it. Yeah. Yeah, where to start with Langlands? Gosh, I don't know. There's so many resources. There's so many different things I could suggest. Like there's Knapp's article. Well, okay, it also depends. There's all of these different versions of Langlands. Like, where do you want to start? Like, there's geometric Langlands, there's categorical versions of all these Langlands, there's local Langlands, there's global Langlands. I don't know. If you want Kudla local Langlands, non-Archimedean. So there's these two articles, local Langlands correspondence Archimedean case, and then local by Knapp and local Langlands correspondence non-Archimedean case. I think those are nice, two nice references to start off with. Of course, Knapp has also a larger, like 100-page document you can go read that starts off with the classical approach. So yeah, I don't know. Those are maybe, for local Langlands anyways, these are maybe two articles worth reading, and then there's a whole bunch of like citations, explaining things. Yeah. Well, I don't know about that, Arad. Do you like it totally depends on where in Langlands you're jumping into. Like for instance, the stuff I do, like sure, I knew about modular forms and elliptic curves before I started doing what I'm doing now, and was vaguely aware of their connection to Langlands, but neither of those things actually come up in my work. And also people have class field theory certainly has come up to some extent in what I do, but I've mostly just backfilled things as I've gone. Now, then again, should one try to emulate my specific path, and have I done things in the best way possible? Well, probably not. That's a different question, but certainly it's possible to I don't know, make some progress in different ways, but yeah. Really enjoy working on probability and statistics, and I've occasionally stumbled into L functions and automorphisms. I think by automorphisms you might mean automorphic forms. Definitely those things are related to the Langlands program. Whoa, didn't mean to explode all of my documents here. Definitely those things are related to the Langlands program. But yeah, there's a cool paper about L functions. Well, I found this paper was L functions and Benford's law. I don't know if you know about Benford's law. But it's this interesting. I came up with my own explanation for Benford's law once, actually. It's sort of a vague heuristic that I feel like isn't totally justified, but I got the right results. Maybe I'll talk about it on stream someday, but Yeah, maybe it was this paper. There's some other related papers. Yeah, but there's like cool things going on with like values of L functions. Um, and yeah, so maybe check this out because this paper, and I think if you look, there's other papers related to this. You might be able to find some understandable things about L functions without diving into full on Langlands stuff. Any tips on doing research? Your first question. It's a 2 month thing directly before your master's, and you're having trouble figuring out exactly what to do. Um, well, I suppose you have a supervisor, right? I mean, the number one thing to do if you're stuck on directions would be to ask your supervisor. Of course, always for me, I like working out examples in detail. So if it's the kind of problem where you can start with this most simplest example and just write everything out, compute things, and check that your computations coincide with results that the literature predicts, either through established theorems or conjectures, and you can check a couple cases by hand. That's maybe a good place to start. Yeah, it's hard to know without knowing the question more specifically, but hopefully your supervisor can offer some guidance in that direction. Um, True. I do agree. It is hard to care about Langlands without some sort of background like that. That's true, Rod. Although, I think there is a way to maybe try and motivate things. You know, you could maybe, if you were someone that cared about representation theory, you could motivate things like purely from that way. But I do think you're right. It's nice to have at least um, a general understanding of how it fits into the wider context. There's a few fields within Math on Archive with more than 1,000 papers submitted in the past 9 years. 1,000 doesn't even seem that much for 9 years. I mean, like, if you say that like, certainly there's plenty of fields that have more than a paper a day. And even if it is just a paper a day, like 3 years already hits 1,000. So, um, yeah. Yeah. Speaking of L functions, today you learned about the BSD. Nice. Sorry, today you learned that BSD is known in the function field case. Oh, that's interesting. That is interesting. I think, yeah, I think there's a video, and the proof uses some really interesting technology. Probably going to spend some time reading it. What do I think about duploids? I don't know anything about duploids. What is a duploid? Non-associative category. Oh. Huh. I don't know. Non-associativity, that's sus. That is sus as hell. Um, yeah. So you just break associativity? Eh. I mean, hey, there are cool things. Thunkable. Morphism is thunkable. Okay, now I'm back on board. Now I'm interested in this again. Now I'm interested in this again. Um, yeah, Boris, amazing joke. Uh, I assume that's a pun. Uh, um, but yeah. I do remember there's a video about so I think there's a related theorem. There's also like a what's it called? There's a let's see. Um what? That is not what the hell is it? An introduction to the arithmetic of elliptic curves. Is this the video I'm looking for? Um, uh, yeah, I think if you look at maybe it's this first video here or this second video here, I think Professor Lozano Robledo highlights an analogy. There's also like a very similar statement to BSD in terms of number fields, like with the class number formula. There's some, like if you look at the Dedekind zeta function, then it's like the analytic class number formula. Is that what it's called? Analytic class number, something like this. Right, and so this is it also like exactly analogous to the BSD conjecture, right? Because we're somehow the behavior at a pole is related to other important invariants, and I think we know this one. So, you're reading yearly submission averages. Yeah. So that's interesting. I would have thought. 1,000 a year. Ah, I see. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. Is that the same Kontorovich, who has written a lot of math books and is on Veritasium? Probably. I think so. You think reading Langland's own account of the subject is really interesting? I've never done that. I probably should. The whole thing's named after the man. Especially if a taste for learning the history of the subject before studying it directly. Yeah, probably. Although apparently Langlands really hates sheaves. He really hates sheaves. Passionately. Maybe I shouldn't say too much more, but BSD is a Burt Swinnerton Dyer conjecture. And sheaves are indispensable for modern Langlands. And I think he's upset about it. Or at least he was at one point in time. This is one of the BSD is one of the Millennium Prize problems. BT dubs on the BSD. Love the analytic class number formula. Yeah. Have I learned any Iwasawa theory? No. It's one of the things I've never really tapped into. Of course, I think it's interesting. It's on the periphery of things that I care about, but alas, there's only so many hours in the day. Yeah. How can you dislike sheaves? I don't know. Apparently there's people out there. If you dislike sheaves, unsubscribe and dislike this video. Yeah. Anyway, maybe I'm gonna take a quick look at this paper. And then I'm gonna get back to work. So I think we're gonna call it here for today. I think we will call it here. Probably, I did promise a student I would publish a video today. I tried recording it yesterday and I messed up the audio. So there will be a video on basic things about CELO theorems today, allegedly, supposedly. I'm the one that supposes such a thing. How do I feel to survey all the literature? Well, depends what you mean by all the literature. Can be difficult, but certainly, reading too much is bad, but others are more encyclopedic and seem to want to read everything. I don't know what advice to give you there. Famously, someone during the IHES seminars, someone asked Growth and Deek where the library was or something, and he's like, "Yeah, we don't read books, we write them." Damn, put on the gangster shades. Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, reading too much could be bad, but then also I don't know. I've had some people ask me questions lately and I was able to just produce the answers for them. I'm like, oh yes, it's the answer you're looking for is in this section in this paper, blah 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 blah. That's a useful skill to have, right? And then if you have that skill, maybe people want to collaborate with you and ask you questions. Not that I have a crazy encyclopedic knowledge, but it certainly has been useful for me to know such things. Yeah. I've never seen the term metric embeddings in my life that I remember. Okay, I'm gonna go now for real though. Yeah, sorry, Nerd Coke. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, don't read. So yes, reading too much is a problem. The question is, for you personally, what is too much? I have no idea. Okay, leaving for real. Go prove some things. I'll go prove some things, and we'll talk about it tomorrow.